The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
People, last night I spent way too much time complaining about the Vancouver Canucks. Not enough time complaining about that other big problem, okay? The NHL referees. Well, what are y'all doing? And you know what's so ironic about my emotion about the NHL referees? How about our power play? Well, what are they doing? Are they really ranked 29th in the league since the All-Star break? Well, we still got time, right? Before the playoffs to get that going. Maybe. We'll think about it. We'll talk about it. Maybe we'll figure it out in totality, okay? All the things surrounding your Vancouver Canucks, a team that is what? 4-0-1 in their last 5 games. And here we are. Well, here I am. Doing the most. Okay, for real. Speaking of which, let's do this. Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We back on this episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen, and one love to the Locked On Podcast Network for doing its thing, okay? Establishing that culture, man. Your team every day, a.k.a. your Canucks every day. That's the motto, the West Coast bias. That's the other motto. Hey, one love to the Don't Doze Art Lab for doing its thing and supplying that West Coast bias for years and years and years and years. That is the place, where we get to do this, and that's produce this conversation between you and you and you and you and you and you and I. And I was all over the place last night. I was all over the place this morning when I was on the phone with Trevor Beggs. Talking about the Canucks, your Canucks. And everything seemed kind of bleak. And a game where a lot happened. Did I just say a lot happened? Exactly. Again, all over the place. And in that game where so much happened and so much anger was generated, the Canucks still got a point against the Avalanche, and I know I'm just reaching for moral support at this point, but it's actually the truth. I'm using that, okay, to get me through not only just this conversation, but get me to Saturday, okay? Let's get the faith and the hope back up, okay? The Canucks are doing well this season. Really well this season. They've done well recently. I was listening to what? Thomas Drance, right? A lot today. And he was talking about how the Vancouver Canucks can't allow last game to eliminate what they've done for the most part over their last 4 or 5 games. And that's play a lot of really good periods of hockey. They can't just ignore that because the worst of the worst came true last night. Because again, in reality, when you look at it from afar, outside a few things, there's a lot of really good things happening with your Vancouver Canucks. That's the truth. We'll be all right. And we'll be able to beat the Avalanche if all things go right come late May or mid-May. What's the schedule looking like in the Western Conference Finals? Let's move on and talk about the NHL referees, okay? What's going on? Are you serious? What's going on with the NHL not doing anything? Not even a $1,700 fine in connection to Manson's hit, his dirty hit on JT Miller. Now, I was thinking about it too, okay? Again, mine in a lot of places. What if the NHL did nothing in regards to Manson versus Miller because of what happened with Manson versus Besser in game 1 between these two teams? And that's Manson getting kicked out really early in the game for something he shouldn't have been kicked out for. The NHL, right? They love makeup. I'm surprised they're not sponsored by Shoppers Drug Mart, okay? They love makeup. And maybe they made one of those makeup calls when it came to Josh Manson and doing something cheap. Because I can't think of any other reason why. Nothing. Why nothing would happen. We're talking about JT Miller. Is he not one of the best 15 players in hockey? Is he not top 10 in scoring, top 7 in scoring, sometimes top 5 in scoring? Is he not that guy playing in the West Coast, the best coast of Canada? Is he not that guy on one of the best teams in hockey this season? Do the math. If that's Bedard, if that's McKinnon, there's a suspension. Look at this comment, okay, Mr. Whale Man. Are we allowed to say this? Okay, more like Charles Manson because he's trying to kill us, dude. He's just an aggressive player. Things happen. He goes for it. It's part of the reasons why, as Robert alludes to, the Avalanche are a cup contender. They got pieces. They got personality. They got different ways to hit you. And Josh Manson, playing the way he does, makes him a piece. I'm not going to say he reminds me of Nikita Zadorov, but he reminds me of Nikita Zadorov, okay? We'll talk about Zadorov in a couple of minutes, and we'll also get your comments in a couple of minutes, too. The NHL referees, where does that leave me? Again, emotional. I'm emotional, okay? You're not going to call a 5-minute penalty there. But what you're going to do is call that hooking penalty on Ian Cole early on in the third period. And maybe, just maybe, it was hooking. But is it really hooking when there's all that embellishment too? You know what I'm saying? At the very least, both players, both McKinnon and Cole, should have went to the box. But there you were, not making a call that you should have made, 40 minutes ago? Making one of the worst calls of the season. Let's be honest, though. The Avalanche were coming, though, okay? Pause. You know what I'm saying, though? They were after it, man. I'm not going to say the referees lost us that game, because they didn't. They didn't. Again, for the way the Canucks played that whole period made it seem like, we were lucky to be up 3-0, okay? The penalties or not, the Avalanche were probably going to come back. But the referees, man, made it a lot easier for them to do so. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Dude, imagine that happening to Matthews. You know what I'm saying? Bro. That'd be something, George Peros would be put on trial, okay? Literal trial, okay? If that happened to Matthews and Manson got nothing. Unreal. Now, can we talk about the irony, though, okay? It does feel a way to talk about the referees, thus somehow, connecting the narrative to the power plays. Give us more power plays. What would you do, or what would the game look like if we got a 5-minute power play in that game, right? You connect the two, which makes sense, but at the same time, draws some sort of anger in me and some doubt because that power play ain't doing anything for you anyways. Now, are the numbers correct? 29th on the power play since the All-Star break. And it's pretty obvious why it's not working. It's not Lindholm. It's not a lot of things. It's simply because JT Miller is not playing on the left half wall or near the top of the left blue line with JT Miller, with Quinn Hughes anymore. And it's weird how they've tried everything else, but they haven't gone back to that. And I'm not saying the power play was perfect when Hughes and Miller were, neighbors on that side, game after game after game after game, because it was still, finding its groove. But it was really clear that those two doing what they were doing were not the problem. You find the solution in that power play outside of that duo. That duo is elite. It really is. And correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Miller against Boston. when he makes that play to Besser on the power play in overtime, where is he playing? Miller against LA when he scores that one-timer, when they're up an attacker in overtime, where is he? He's on the left side of the power play, right next to Hughes. Even if I go back to the Maple Leafs game, right? Didn't he make a great play to Pettersson on the power play when the Canucks really needed a goal? Where was he? Exactly. And how about before the All-Star break, the last game against Columbus, when the Canucks power play got them back into a game? Where was Miller? Exactly. Where was Besser? Exactly. And I know, you look at Saturday. I think we scored a power play goal. I think Pettersson scored on a rebound, but that's not the way. It's not the way. This power play has looked stale, lucky, mediocre. A lot of things. They just haven't looked good, though. They haven't looked fun. They haven't looked fluid. And now they got Garland on it. And again, they got Pettersson in front of the net. They're doing everything other than putting Miller back on that side full time. Try it out, see what happens. I'm keeping them positive. I don't think the power play is over. There's still a lot of time left. I do think the power play does deserve to be where it's at, not only whole season wide, but again, after the All-Star break being one of the worst 3, the worst 4 in the league. It's well deserved. But there's too much talent there, and we've seen it in the past for it not to be one of the greatest things in hockey. Real talk. Let's get to the comments, okay? Before I get out of here, a little quick episode, okay? I just got emotional. Look at what Trevor talked about today, okay? To the left of me or to the right of me, okay? He talked about the Pettersson problem early on. He talked about the Canucks blowing it again. What is it? Their 5th multi-goal lead blown since January, right? I mean, they won one of those games, or was it a couple? You know what I'm saying? A lot to talk about. You can just go back to the previous episode today where Trevor was ranting. I just need to, be therapeutic. Anyways, back to the comments. Elston. Well, what's he saying? He said he's going to be at the game against Winnipeg on April 18th. Congratulations. Are you going to be yelling at the referees? I'm curious, how much longer are the refs going to do this? What happened? It's getting a little fishy, man, for real. Lefty, man, Myers is one of our shutdown defensemen. I think Lefty was also talking about how this team yesterday looked like they could have used Myers, and I'm pretty sure Myers is coming in on Saturday, right? I looked at the practice lines. Juleson and Friedman, your 4th pair. Do the math. Myers is coming back in, and that's okay. That's how quick it goes, right? What happened a couple days ago, right? Myers is the 7th defenseman. All it took was one loss. All it took was pure domination for 21 minutes, because that's what it was, right? Was it pure domination, or was it this? The Canucks playing scared. The Canucks giving the puck to Colorado via panic in the defensive zone and just utter fear in the neutral zone. Okay, they just wanted to get to overtime with the lead. Interesting, right? They kept giving the puck back. The Avalanche defenseman behind the net. It was dump and change, not dump and chase. It was weird. I think the Canucks just had a completely wrong game plan. And maybe you can do that against another team and do your thing in the neutral zone to stop an attack. But Colorado is definitely a team due in large part to, the system, but Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon that can dissect structure, okay? They can get through it. They can break through, especially when you keep giving them the puck back. Just bad strategy all around. Was it pure domination or stupidity that stopped the Canucks from, doing the most for the home crowd? Straight up. Look at Angelo, man. I think Angelo said earlier that the Canucks are going to lose 14 straight. Bro, go for a walk, man. Anyways, he's talking about the power play and how Quinn Hughes' passes are off. Maybe you're not even talking about the power play. Maybe you're talking about his game in general yesterday. I don't know what happened, man. I don't know what happened. A 3-day break. Maybe that's a lot of rest. Maybe that's a lot of time to, I don't know, do something else. You know what I'm saying? Do the math. Times are good. You're finally home. They've been on the road a lot. Again, maybe those 3 days of rest had more than just rest. Things happen. Or again, maybe it was just a stupid game, man. Come on. Angelo, good comment here, though, okay? What? No. I read this wrong. You're talking about Joshua coming back, maybe playing with JT Miller and Teddy Bluger. Dude, I can't wait for that Teddy Bluger, Dakota Joshua, and Connor Garland line to be back together. Because they need it. Consistently, right? Game in and game out. They bring it. Offensively, 5-on-5. The only other part of the lineup that does that consistently, like shift by shift, almost 99% of the time is JT Miller alone. So again, they need it. And they need more from Elias Pettersson 5-on-5 too, which will happen. It will. Man, oh man. Look at this comment, okay? Ryan, I hope the Avalanche don't turn into the Blackhawks. Is that like a mini dynasty comment? Dude, they may. Dude, what is Nathan MacKinnon doing this season? Bro, what a fun player to watch. And again, I went through my spiritual journey over the last 12 hours. I was so emotional last night. I was saying the worst of things, right? About this team. Being unloyal, being a phony, being mad, being sensitive. I had to go through my spiritual journey. I'm much more calm, much more rational. And a big reason why is because I kind of took the time to appreciate watching Nathan MacKinnon. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm only going to bring the vengeance in the playoffs. And I'm only saying this again because it's the regular season and these games matter. But if you're competing for the cup, other games matter way more. And because of that, I can just appreciate, again, the hockey players and the things that may happen to the Canucks in a bad way involving those hockey players. And Nathan MacKinnon makes it so much easier to just appreciate hockey in general because he is an elite athlete who has an engine. Unlike no other, okay? I think a big reason why people were upset with Pettersson last night is because what they saw from MacKinnon in that third period. And it was, I'll use that word again, domination. And I think people are impatiently waiting for that from Pettersson. And something that we've seen in the past is Pettersson dominate. But this season, outside of January and parts of October, November, there's been a different approach to how he's accumulated so many points and offense and overall contribution. That flair hasn't been there the whole way through, which I'm going to use as inspiration, okay? You know what? What's the quote? Better late than never. I think the best of the best is to come for Elias Pettersson. And overall, your Vancouver Canucks. You know what? I'm going to get out of here. I got to get my dog home. Can you see my dog? Loki. He's tired, man. He's not the biggest fan of the studio, to be honest. It is what it is. But I had to do this, okay? I had to get a little therapeutic with your Vancouver Canucks and fuel up for the weekend. Ovechkin in town. The Canucks and Capitals. Another opportunity to do something special. Okay, for real. Well, let's get a win. And let's get over that game against the Avalanche. Our power play, we talked a lot about today. Can we just see Miller? Please. can we see Miller back on that prime time slot right beside Quinn Hughes on the left side? Can somebody ask Tocchet why he's made that change and has stuck to that change? Right? Look at Cetos, man. Look at these comments. This is why I love the comments, okay? He said his dog's name is Loki, too. Dude, if that's the case, I got to tell you the story, man. Loki, man. Loki. I'll keep the story short, okay? My ex-girlfriend named my dog. Think about that. Do the math. That's crazy. And before she got the chance to name my dog, I was making the case for the name Buddy, okay? Buddy Bowen, the dog. I didn't win. Loki won. Again, do the math. Anyways, my name is Kyle Bowen, KYLEBHAWAN. One love to the Locked On Podcast Network for doing their thing, establishing that culture, and giving us that mojo, man, right? They started it. You're Canucks every day, right? Actually, you started it, man. Think about it. You and you and you and you. You've been living that life for days and days and days and days, and that's why we are here. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab. And yeah, just have a good night, man. Take care. Take care of your neighbors. One love to the Canucks. And good night. Peace.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks.